because on me and my community, definitely like I gotta be smart and want to like save money as well and think about investing in the future. And like a lot of that has to do with investing in my community and building sustainable structures for my people, my community, and for my family as well. And so for me, in terms of money, like I'm definitely going to like treat myself. I'm gonna have a spa. I was at the spa for 8 hours on Monday. Just came back from Canada, then I had to immediately go to that show.
Hey, tell me, what is it like to be at a spa for 8 hours? Like,
I never gone before. So actually, this dope Korean spa in Koreatown called We Spa. You pay $30 and you can be there for 20 hours if you want.
$30?
Yeah, that's it. They have like
take me through the day. Take me through the day.
Yeah. Nah, I mean like me and my homegirl went, and there's like 8 different like saunas, like like dry sauna, like a clay, jaded, salt sauna. There's a cold sauna, and then there's like gender, men and women. They have our own spaces that have like steam rooms and jacuzzis and stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's this huge upstairs place that is just like this tropical oasis. Water spraying, and like you just hang out and like sunbathe and stuff. Yeah, all that for $30. And like, and there's also like sleeping mats all around. Like,
you just knocked the fuck out.
Oh yeah, we did. We took a nap just like right in the middle, and then we went back through it again. They randomly have like bomb ass food there. Like, you don't have to leave all day.
Yeah.
We came in at 10 a.m. and we were allowed to stay until 4 a.m. But I mean, we left at like 5 or 6. But still, but you can just stay there all day.
Yeah, it's nuts.
They have showers, all shaving, everything you need, lotions and shaving cream dryers.
Hey, Ariana Bosco.
Yeah.
Is she another performer?
Yeah, she performed right after. She performed the very end of the night on Sela. She's a Filipino. She's from Downey, and you remember the movie Hook?
No,
Peter Pan, Robin Williams.
Okay,
Hook?
yes.
Yeah.
Vaguely, I vaguely remember it. It wasn't like a movie that I watched.
It's all good. It's Rufio, who played Rufio. The character Rufio. He's like a lost boy that he comes back and he's in charge.
Okay.
Was played by her brother Dante Bosco.
Seriously?
Yeah. Did you ever watch Avatar Airbender, the like live action version? Yeah, he was also the king of the Fire Nation.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
they're related?
Yeah, that's her big brother.
I thought he was Indian.
Nah, he's Filipino.
Okay.
And he's from Downey. They're like Southeast LA natives.
What?
Yeah.
So they must be like incredibly gifted.
Yeah, I mean the whole family is like, they came up from the Bay. So their parents, are from Philippines. They like were born in the Bay, and they're a bunch of like break dancers.
Yeah.
And then the mom brought them all down to Southern California and was like, yo, we're gonna like,
shock the world out here.
We're gonna shock the world, and they're just living out there like with other freaking Mexicans and Latinos.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I feel like Filipinos and Latinos, they get along really
super well. Yo, I was telling you, and that family really is like family. I was over there for Christmas. I was over there for Easter. I was over there for Halloween.
Yeah.
Like, Ariana has 2 little kids that are like, my little hearts too. And
how old is that, Ariana?
Ariana is 38.
Okay.
38, 37. Okay. But a little older.
How did you get connected to her in the first
place?
place?
I think that I mean, man, you can just go deeper and deeper.
Right.
Just to really quickly, I'll take a couple steps back. I was invited to come perform at this international hip hop competition in New York City in 15, and I met a homie there named G Yamazawa. He's a Japanese rapper from Durham, North Carolina, who lives in LA now. And so he was like, and we just really vibed and resonated with each other. So when we came back to LA, he's like, yo, like, come through to this spot. Mm-hmm. He's like, one of my mentors is one of the, runs this like open mic art space, which is Bo Sia, who's a poet that was traveling around with like Saul Williams back in like the 90s, one of like the heads of kind of like the slam poetry scene way back when.
Right.
And then the other host was Ariana Bosco. Mm-hmm. Then I started going to that space all the time, and then just getting closer and closer with like that community, and specifically Ariana and her family. And then Ariana started a new open mic that's in historic Filipino town right off the Temple that I help put on every Wednesday. Mm-hmm. And Ariana knows Eric, who runs Alivio, from, I don't even know what, I imagine some kind of like, actually she used to run another open mic at the last bookstore in downtown LA that Eric went to.
I bet that was beautiful.
Yeah, and Eric actually says that Alivio started because of Ariana Bosco, because Eric was like, yo, like I'm in Southeast LA, like there's no art scenes, I want to start an art scene. And Ariana was like, you have a garage? Like, you have a front, you have like a, like a living room? He's like, yo, it isn't like space, like anything work. And he's like, yeah. And then he started Alivio outside of his garage.
Wow.
And then...
When did it start? Like how long?
They just had their 5-year anniversary in January of this year, which I performed at.
Okay, so like in 2013?
Yeah,
like
2013, exactly. And Eric and Ariana was invited to perform as one of the features at Alivio Open Mic like 2 or 3 years ago. and she asked me to be a part of her set. And that's when I was even introduced to Olivia, met Eric. I really liked Eric, and I really fucked with his vibe, and I thought he was doing really great work in the community, as well as like kind of like redefining some like gender roles and like, you know, kind of trying to heal masculinity. And you know, and I was like also another like, you know, Mexicanote, you know, Latino, and I was just like, oh, I really like this cat. And so me and him just started linking up more and more, and we actually have our own podcast as well.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Get Your Boy.
Is it on YouTube or is it on iTunes?
It's on SoundCloud right now. We just released the first episode like a couple weeks ago. Yeah, we just recorded the second one.
What inspired that avenue?
Yeah, well, I started a healing circle at my crib, for masculinity and men. That's been going on now for like a year and a half. That Eric was one of like the original 4.
That's awesome.
And then out of that, you know, so much content was built because, you know, we were thinking, we're like, oh, you know, it was like, oh, we should record the meetings. And I was like, yes,
but
like, let's let the meeting be like what it is, right? So we can all be vulnerable, so people don't start like acting and like, you know, right?
Because I mean, you can be very performative in front of a camera.
Exactly, right. So then, you know, kind of on the flip side of that, we were like, well, then we just started outside of us two, right? Because the group was more than us, and you know, and I was like, and I think we could do that, right? And so we decided to do that, and a lot of other things were kind of content-wise were coming out of that group. We have an Instagram page called Bloom Homie, which is all about redefining, you know, masculinity.
Yeah, which I would really love to get into in a little bit.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, and then also me and some another homie, Jerry Maravilla, started working on curriculum. So
for like schools.
Yeah, there's schools, or like, let's say like there's some random fool in the Midwest who like wants to start like a men's circle, but like has just no idea where to start. Definitely. So we kind of like create an outline for like how we did as well, so then they have, you know, some kind of resource to do that.
What's the success rate for that? For example, like how many people have reached out to you guys to get access to that curriculum?
Oh, no one. Only because we haven't announced any curriculum publicly.
Okay,
we're still working.
You're still working on that.
Yeah, we're still working on the behind the scenes, right? Yeah.
We might not let the public know yet.
We not, but it's all good. No, and like please let anyone know that like I have resources for that.
For sure.
Like we just haven't like announced that we actually have that. But I mean, with Bloom Homie, people reach out to us all the time about what to do. I mean, for myself, on my own Instagram pages, I have parents reach out to me like weekly about like, oh, my son does this or does that, or it really is crazy. I just got a message from a mother, I think earlier this week, that was saying that, oh, my son says, like I was talking to my son, he says that men can't wear nail polish or men can't do this, and I showed him your page, and he's like, oh, that's so awesome. And and another mother, and they were actually at the Stella Arts Fest. That her son was painting his nails way before he even heard of me, and then like the father, they're separated, and the father would like wash it off as soon as he would like come stay with him. And you know, she's like, oh, I want to show good role models of like men who like, you know, are grounded themselves, that like do these things. And like he's like, he's obsessed with your Instagram page. I just show him your Instagram page all the time. And so so
which is what is the name of your Instagram page?
Figgy Baby.
Figgy Baby. At Figgy Baby.
At Figgy Baby.
No underscores anywhere.
No underscores. I used to have the Figgy dot baby, but then as soon as I opened up, I was like, I just wanted to be Figgy Baby. F-I-G-G-Y-B-A-B.
So obviously your name is Figueroa, right?
Figueroa.
And I imagine that you got Figgy from Fig.
Is
there any other meaning behind Figgy Baby, or why you chose that to be your artist name?
I was going by low key back in the day when I first started rapping, I was going by Flowing in Gravity. F-I-G.
It seems. Oh, I see. Okay.
Right, I'm just being mad silly and just like being like, oh, I could my rapper name. And then I just started going by Fig. And then I realized that there were other artists, none of which were hip hop. They were like a hardcore, like a weird folk group that were named Fig. And I was already having my at was always Figgy Baby, and that was just because it was a nickname that like people would call me Figgy. I mean, like I've been going by Fig since kindergarten. So like Fig is just my name. Right. And my nicknames are things like Figgy, Figgy Baby, Figalicious, Fig Newton, like Figalist. So Figgy was one that my mother calls me Figgy. And I have a couple other homies that call me that. And I think that like Figgy Baby just like stumbled upon. I thought it was cute. It was cute and kind of catchy, like Figgy Baby. And it was more like an ad lib to begin with, Drake has Drizzy Drake and Lil Wayne like Weezy F Baby. You have like different names that are kind of like of your, exactly different seasoning. And so I had that as my handle. And then when I realized really it was more of a technical thing in terms of like going online and seeing that there were other artists named Fig, I was like, you know what? Like, people call me Figgy Baby anyways because they see the handle. And I was like, I kind of like that name. And I did my research, and like no other artist is named Figgy Baby.
Really?
And like, I Google Figgy Baby. You can Google Figgy Baby right now.
And now it's
like the first 8 pages.
And now it's you.
Yeah, all articles and my music and coverage. So, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you want to go get that coffee?
Yeah.
Boom.
All right. Yeah,
what was the moment where you realized that you were really serious about your music?
Shoot, that I was really serious about it?
Yeah. Like, you're like, I'm going 100% in. Everything I got, I'm leaving it out there.
I think there's 2 moments that led up. The first was I had a show that I played at my college for Halloween. And that show, as soon as I got off stage, it was like a huge show. It was like 500 people there. I mean, it was huge for me at like...
That's huge for me,
like 18. It was like 500 people there, like outside, and it's Halloween. Everyone's in this good mood vibe, and I was playing with a band. And as soon as I got off stage, I texted I texted like my family group chat, and I was like, yo, this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
I just like felt so good. And to be honest, and I really have to say this because like I'm a performer first. Like I'm a experience provider before anything else. Rapper, dancer, musician, writer, all those things like are super important to me. Those are the craft, and I work on that. But like I was meant to be seen and to perform and share live, and that for me comes a lot more naturally, and for me I get a lot more joy from that. So in that moment, in terms of like getting off stage, I was like, this is what I want to do. I wouldn't necessarily say, I still had like 2 years left of school at that point. So I wouldn't necessarily, and I had already been like rapping and writing and stuff for a few years before that, just like with the homies and recording some little mixtape stuff. So like I was enjoying it, right? But it was that moment that I'm like, oh yeah, this is what I'm gonna do. Yeah. And then once I kind of like, and then that's, to be honest though, that is to say the moment that I was like 100%, because I kind of switched my studies too, and then like really focused in on my theater. And my school was very open and allowed you kind of like curate your own masters and your own kind of like,
that's beautiful.
Education and curriculum. So I was like, well, I'm gonna do some independent studies and like write just like a bunch of hip hop verses. Took like some poetry classes, and I was just writing hip hop verses for all those like assignments. Right. And I ended up writing a hip hop theater show as my thesis that was put up in the theater season at my school. So I guess I was, and then I really was going for it full, even in the confines of school. Right. And actually, that show, which was called Mixed Race Mixtape, was what got picked up by a production company, taken on national tour. Right. And also became the title of my first album. Right.
So oftentimes people believe that school is counter revolutionary or counter allowing you to express yourself to the fullest. Yeah. But it seems like at your school you were allowed to kind of pursue exactly who you wanted to be. Do you think it's possible for other schools to also model that same model for allowing people to kind of follow their passion?
Yo, 100%. I think that definitely schools can begin to like evolve and adapt to the changing population, which as like young millennials and generations is coming after us, think about it. Schools, public schools, and a lot of colleges were all created like during the Industrial Revolution to make us be ready for factory workers. Think about it. We sit in rows. We have 15 minutes for a break, 45 minutes for lunch. Bells is what shows us when to move to the next thing. It's like they were just training a workforce to like go straight from the schools into the factories. Right. It's like, and we haven't changed it since. We need to adapt and evolve to the changing times. And the tech revolution, which is what we're in right now, is we're just not caught up with that, right? And so that's why there's so much information online, and people are beginning to be like, well, I don't need to go through massive amount of debt to have an education. If I'm a self-starter, like I can just look up online and kind of sift sift through things, or have independent study, or start to go to these alternative schools or trades. There's a lot of alternatives, and I think that if mainstream education wants to continue providing, which really they should be, because like education should be free in the country and should be awesome because we have a lot of resources, right? And they need to begin adapting and evolving their structure to make critical thinking individuals, not just like mindless drones who can memorize things for the test or for the exam, right? And my school was a new school, right? We think about a lot of like, especially private schools in the East Coast, they've been around for a couple hundred years. My school started in literally 1970.
So it was already different.
It was already different. It's model. It's also a 5-college system, so there's 4 other colleges in the area that I can attend classes at.
It's a consortium.
Yeah, and also it's kind of like they modeled it after a master's program. It's like the undergrad master's, because a lot of the work is independent. You're linked up with like a committee and have like mentors, and like for a lot of people at that school, they can just cruise through things. There's no grades, it's all evaluation, so you can just cruise through things and whatever. And like that's unfortunate for them, right? But the ones who can work can work,
but see,
and they get the resources to make that shit happen.
Like what that allows you to do is like it really allows you to master what you want to find out. Because otherwise, when you just try to memorize, you pass the test, you're like, I got 80%, 90%, but did I really learn anything? Right? But I feel like in that situation, when you have a mentor or a committee, they're gonna really realize if you're applying what you're learning, or better yet, being creative with what you're learning, and they're like, yeah, you got it. Keep going. Keep going. And not only that, but it gives you more freedom of expression, and ultimately I feel like you find a lot more happiness when you're allowed to be exactly who you want to
do what you want to do, right? I mean, and also interdisciplinary work, meaning that like technically I have a double major degree in Latino studies and then like performing arts. So my show was a hip hop theater show about the like young Mexican experience in Southern California. So which was really informed by like my work in Latino studies.
How was that received? That was taken around the country.
Around the country. It was New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, California. I was all over.
That's powerful,
it was great, and and technically all over the world, because that the album now as kind of the next step. Manifestation of the show is like I just came back from Canada performing some of those tracks and doing that work, and but received really well. Actually, we were talking about earlier with Ariana Bosco and Filipinos really relating with Latinos. I got so Latinos and mixed people in general were really like gravitated towards the show and really resonated with it, and then like Asian folk. Not even like mixed Asian folk, just like Asian folk who like were Japanese, Chinese, Taiwanese, who were like that were born here and their parents were immigrants, just like totally connected to the show, because a lot of it's about language, a lot of us disconnecting with immigrant parents, and it's just like, and those things are universal. Sometimes just the disconnecting with your father, a lot of it's about disconnecting with the father, and that's pretty universal. Just
Everybody
as being a man, especially that But anyway, so it was really cool too to see these kind of like larger communities that resonated, and so that was really beautiful, and I really it was received really well. Got some great reviews, and I was proud of the work, and it just continues growing. I'm very critical of it. I was like, it wasn't where I wanted to be.
It sucks.
Everyone's
like crying and shit.
I know. That's the thing too. I think it's so important not to. It's just a one performance advice for people like you have a show and you might have not thought it went well. People come to me like, it was so amazing. You just say thank you. People need to learn how to receive. I'll tell you. Because it's not like you'd be like, nah, it wasn't that good. It wasn't my best show. It's like, how dare you disrespect them? They're coming up being vulnerable.
Right.
And
then,
right? Yeah, just receive, right? You go back to the inner circle. You let them know that you thought it was trash. Because they know it was trash too.
Right. But they know you at that level.
Yeah. But like these people too is like, they came up to let you know something that it was great. It's like, and who are you to tell them otherwise? Like if they thought it was great, then let them think it was great. Like it's only gonna hurt you. Otherwise, so just learn how to receive, but I do look back on a lot of my old work, and I always feel like I'm 2 years behind, because usually it takes on average 2 years to put out a major project.
Really?
And by the time it's out, those verses were even recorded a year ago, because then you spent the other year of the project mixing and refining the parts of it. And then you drop it out and you're like, oh, my craft is like so beyond this. But like the audience doesn't know that, and I think it's so important to know. I'm in dealing with that right now. I'm working on an album and I'm like already excited on the new things, the next things, the next things.
You're like a visionary.
Yeah. Just moving forward.
You know who else thinks like that? Comedians.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, they say they do about 2 years of stand-up. They go around the country, they try all these 15-minute bits.
Yeah.
Whatever's really awesome, they hold on to. What's trash, they dump.
No, it's true.
And then after 2 years of doing that, they say, okay, Netflix, I'm ready for special.
Yeah, I got it.
So it's very similar.
Yeah, no, you gotta work, see what works out well. And kind of similar to that is like, I don't think about the album per se and like confine myself to like, okay, is this song albumable? And I'm like, no, I just make music. Like I just like continue making what makes sense. Like I hear beats, if I like it, I write or I put verses I already have to it, I record. And once I have like 20 songs, 30 songs, then I'm like, okay, where is the album? Where's the story being told? And then what are moments that just like are singles, you know, which is all good. Like moments that just like deserve to like just live by themselves, right? But like where's like the story and then where are the moments? But you know, I think I've been not only say this to remind myself out loud right now because literally I go through that all the time daily. I'm like, oh, this album. Every time I go to write, I'm like, oh, let me write a song for the album. It's like, yo, just write. And like, if you find one line, if you write 8 pages and find one line that's like amazing, it's worth it.
Right.
Because that one line can just like open up a whole, like, yo, I swear, like constantly I find singular lines, not even rhyme, not even a couplet, literally a single line that like creates whole tracks. Because it's just like, it's like a thesis statement. It's just like, it's so profound. It's so profound and so full in that singular line that like the ideas just like are like infinite. Like I tell you one, like I'm dropping a little freestyle on Monday, low key. I just dropped a song on Thursday called Watermelon Earrings. And then like my homie came over Tuesday, the same producer who produced that, and we were just kicking it at the crib. We just kind of were checking in about, oh, how are we gonna promote this new song? And he played me a beat, and I just start freestyling over it, and I'm just like, oh, I like this. And I was finding like a nice tone. I'm like, oh, I'm like, yo, hook this up to the mic right now. And I just dropped this freestyle, and like I'm like, yo, this is raw, and it's like on point, and like I had this one phrase that I just kept on coming back to in it that just like put together, and it was just like this question, it's like, is it cap season yet? That's it. Is it cap season yet?
Yeah.
Meaning like Capricorn season.
Okay. I thought it was something else.
Yeah. So
shots.
Yeah, no. And someone else, no, it's true. Someone else too said that like cap season means something different in DC, like cap or like no cap, you know. But I kind of like that, and just like, but I you know, and I was like, is it cap season yet? And I was thinking about it in like Capricorn, like, and like, oh, it's 5 seasons till Capricorn, but I'm like waiting for my time. Basically, is what it means. Like, is it my time yet? Like, is it cap season yet? And then just like allow me to just like kind of swag out and turn on the ego and really like put out some work. And it just like is this 7-minute long freestyle.
Yeah. See, there's something very powerful about feeling like, when is my time? Or feeling underrated. In fact, there's a song that goes something around. It goes something along the lines of like, I'm waiting on my moment. I don't know if you heard that song by I think like Young Jeezy or something. But that's his catchphrase. Like, I'm waiting on my moment. And I would listen to that a lot when I was younger because I always felt like
it gets you hyped too.
It's all those shit. I need my opportunity, dog. Like, just give me one opportunity, and I swear to God, I'm not gonna let go because I'm ready, right? I'm training. I'm working so hard.
I'm ready.
Just give it to me, right? And I feel like that's probably how you felt maybe in your earlier days of performance, right? When you were like, dude, I'm working every day. I have these rhymes.
Yo, I still feel like that. Like,
really?
Totally. I still feel like that. Like all the time. I think it's a drive. And right now I'm even like, I hope I always feel like that. I hope I'm always hungry. I want to always be hungry. And like, it's not even beyond the fame and the, you know, the recognition, which is part of it.
Yeah,
especially nowadays in terms of opportunity. But like, I'm hungry for the craft. Like, I'm hungry to be I want to be a master. Like, I want to be a freaking the one. You know, like I'm hungry. Like, I'm hungry for the craft. And like, and yeah, exactly. Like, I just want to continue leveling up. And there is only levels up, right? You like, you know, at some point you plateau. You're like, nah, this is, you know, you're great. Like, you're amazing, but like, you're not gonna get better. It's like, no. There's always risks to take.
Yes.
There's like always pushing. There's always evolving. There's always adapting. There's always just like. And like, I just want to always take risks. I want to be known as a risk taker. I just want to be known as a as just a freaking as hungry, you know, like I want to have that young, like teen spirit when I'm like still performing at 50. Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like I love this track I just dropped. Like that's what I'm saying. Like exactly, it's like I want to always be hungry and like always be wanting, and I think that's what really youth is for me in terms of defining youth. It's like it's this like excitement, this passion, this interest, this curiosity, this
hope.
Yeah, right. This hope, and I think as we get older, we're like set in our ways like, oh, we know things, like oh, we got it. Like I don't need to be excited or passionate or like whatever. I'm like, nah, I want to be boyish forever. You know, like I want to be mature and grounded and respectful.
Right.
But I want to be like excited. Right. And I want to be hungry, and I just want to be like have that eye, you know. And I still do. I totally do. I'm 27, and I'm you know. I don't see not being hungry being anywhere in my future, you know? Like, I really still have it. I just love it. I just love the craft, and I love the research, and I love the idea of pushing genre and being genreless, but still belonging to the hip-hop community, and just, like, you know, and lineage. I love the idea of lineage, and I love the idea of being a little homie, and I love the idea of being a big homie. I had someone at a show last night come up to me after and ask me, like, yo, like, I've come to a few shows, and... you know, like, I feel like I'm someone who's, like, a leader in my community people look up to. And, like, I found you, and, like, that's huge for me that, like, I really, like, I want you to mentor me. Like I'm going to hit you up, like, let's grab a coffee. Like, I just want, like, I really feel like I can get a lot from you, and you inspire me. And, like, and I love that. Like, that's something that I want to prioritize. Like, they say there's always 3 people you should have in your life. Okay. You should always have, I'm using my terminology, but a little homie. Someone that you're mentoring and offering information and helping grow. A big homie, someone that's like helping you grow, mentoring you and helping you push you to the next level. And then someone who's like eye to eye, you know, just like a partner who you're just like, we gonna fucking take this shit together. Like we just going like.
Would you say that's your producer? You don't have to say it.
No, it's all good. I say like yes, but. Definitely they're hungry and they're like with it, but I just don't see them that way. I haven't not known them for that long, and also I work with a bunch of different producers as part of it. But really, I see that my homie brother Jarrell Watkins. He's a writer and a poet. He isn't even in the same genre as me, but we've just been like. He's also the one who directed Mixtape when we went on tour. Yeah. That's my fucking boy. Yeah, he's from Richmond, Virginia. Shout out to Richmond, Virginia. I love that place. I have a bunch of shows out there. Bro. Yeah. And he's in grad school right now for creative writing, and in Iowa, which is wild. And then actually currently,
what school?
He's at University of Iowa.
Okay, I went to Briarcliff University, which is in Iowa.
Oh,
Sioux City, Iowa.
Oh, really? Oh, that's wild.
So I feel it.
Oh, okay.
I know
you know it needs to be brown out there too. It's like,
It's tough, bro.
Yeah, it's real.
Hey, I literally had guys cooking food for me saying like, Jesus, I'm gonna spit in your food today. And I'd just be like, this is another day. You know? Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. It was, but obviously there was a lot of learning experiences. It was very tough on my soul. But the way I came out of it, bro, I was like, fuck yeah. Like, I'm strong. I'm resilient. I made it through this shit. I can make it through anything.
Damn.
I had a question about your music. Yeah. How do you see yourself pushing the boundaries of hip hop? Because I know that you mentioned that you're part of the genre, but you also want to be genre-less.
Yeah. Part of the community, and I want to be genre-less. So I think, and part of the lineage, you know, I think that's important to say. That I really, those are people who resonate with me, define my style, define my vibe, define just like how I want to give back to my community, how I want to raise my children. Like I learned a lot of that from hip hop, right? And also, you know. And so that's a community that I always want to be part of, and a culture that I want to push through my actions. But in terms of the music, the content, we evolve. Hip hop is an evolution of other forms and other cultures, and that's an evolution of other things. And there's always a pushback, right? Purists that want to stay grounded and things. But I'm like, yo, hip hop isn't even nothing is the final form.
How is hip hop even pure?
Everything is in flux. Hip hop is not even pure. Hip hop is this queer experience smattering of many different things, right? And so for me, it's just about pushing that, right? And it's just about building bridges and continue to evolve forms and use. There are no rules in the craft. There are no rules in the art. I was saying that last night at the show. Like there are no rules in any of this. Like people want to be so confined. Like, oh, but that beat doesn't sound like hip hop. All right, then I'm not making a hip hop song right now. Whatever. It's music. Like it feels good. Like I know this is all that matters. Know who you are. know who you are and know it feels good. If I get a beat and it's some like wild Frank Ocean, kind of like neo soul R&B, I don't even know what, wild sound shit, and it makes me feel something, and I want to write over it, then I'm gonna do it. Like like if I want to, if I have a blues harmonica player up there on stage with me, then like I'm gonna get down. And also even in the craft, like I'm a dancer too. Like I just want to dance, and I just want to vibe. Like I grew up watching my parents dance cumbia. Like I have that in my rhythm, and I have that in my cadence. Like everything is informed by like many different cultures at once, and so like it's all about like this. Evolving and this progressing and kind of like even just like messing with the binary of gender, right? Like I want my music to be like even like shit to be flamboyant and feminine at moments, and then super hard and masculine at a very next moment, or even in the same moment. Like I want to create purple, I just want like a smattering. Like there's just no rules, and the more I work in the craft and in the art and the space, the more I want to do that. I love hip hop, and I grew up on hip hop, and I still listen to mostly like rap. But even like trap and neo soul and trap soul, and even that, those are beginning evolutions of hip hop, right? Yeah. Like trap music is not hip hop.
Yeah.
But it is also, but it's like a.
But they're interconnected at some point.
Yeah, exactly, right. It's an evolutionary step in that,
right.
And it's wild, and people shit on trap music, all this like mumble rap and whatever. I like trap music, bro. Like I might make some trap music, right? I'm gonna keep it figgy.
Right.
And that's the thing is like I can make, and here's the thing. I can make whatever music, and it's still gonna be me because I'm in tune with myself.
Right. I think that's really important when you're creating.
Yeah.
I think that you can use inspiration.
Right.
A and B, but ultimately you're C. Right, and you have all these building blocks, and you're like, well, yes, I was inspired by Joe Rogan, I was inspired by all these hundreds of people, but at the end, I still want to be myself. And how do I do that? By just letting myself flow naturally.
Right.
I don't have to, like when I first started the show, I would prepare questions for people because I wanted to have something to say.
Right.
But then I realized, I was like, we always have something to say.
Yeah, we always got something to say.
And you just gotta let it be.
Yeah.
And wherever it takes you, that's what's gonna be more intriguing to the person who listens to you.
Yeah, completely.
And if they like it, they like it. And if they don't, they don't.
Yeah, right. That's and not the ones who are there, the ones who are meant to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And similarly for the ones who are listening and the ones who are meant to be listening, it's for them. And and I really feel that.
Who inspires you today?
Musically, Frank Ocean, Kendrick. I'm trying to think of people I've been listening to. I listen to like a lot of R&B and neo soul, like Erykah Badu. Shoot, who else I've been listening to? Carlos Santana, Jimi Hendrix. Those are people who are not still like popping today, but people who are just.
But they're still popping.
Yeah. But they are still.
Music, you're like,
it's still. It's just like it's timeless. It's timeless. Right. I just feel that it's just. I listen to a lot. Poncho Sanchez is like a Mexican percussion player. He's out from Riverside and he used to play, in Fullerton.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the Sinceres?
Sinceres? No.
They're really dope. They're a band from East LA. They do a lot of like soul music. Obviously, they're like all Chicanos and shit. Yeah. But they're legit.
That's what's up. To go back to the main question. We are men that are raised by toxic men who are raised by toxic men, and not to say that that there aren't. My father is an incredible man who has a lot of love to give, but also, is distant from his emotions, and culturally he's grown up with, to kind of like hold back and not to show his full self, and that it's just generationally, it's culturally, as men we are just like entitled. And then simultaneously repressed, told not to cry, told not to feel, told to man up, told to fight it out, and it's sad, and then simultaneously, when something bad happens, they baby us, or it's not your fault, it's not you, it's someone else, it's da-da-da. So like we're in this really weird place that we've been like told to not feel and like be tough, but then when we do something, we're like, oh, boys will just be boys.
There's no accountability.
Yeah, there's no accountability, and it's hard too because we depend so often on the labor of femmes and women, to do that work for us, to hold us accountable, to call us out, to have patience, right? To walk us forever. We're as for men who date women, like we date mothers. We're not dating partners, and like that's terrible. We want someone who's gonna take care of us and clean up after us and like whatever. It's like nah, hell no. Like we need to date strong partners that we have an equal relationship with and have each other's backs. And then also, we need to be building strong bonds between men, camaraderie between men that like really got our backs in real ways. Not just like, oh, the fight breaks it, I got your back. Nah, like you having a hard mental health day, it's like, I got you, dog. Like, I want the homies to hold me.
Right.
Like my big brother never held me. My pops never held me during that, you know, like, and there should be more softness between men. We need to start like breaking the barriers and being vulnerable with each other and doing that labor for each other and having that patience for each other. Because often when shit hits the fan for real and our toxicity becomes violent, other men, though we are like our toxicity does cause violence for each other, a lot of the time women are on the other side of that violence, either verbally or physically or sexual violence as well. Yeah, emotionally. So we need to be holding each other accountable and having thresholds and being there to support each other in order to for those moments to be protectors of ourselves and other people and of our own hearts and minds and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there's a couple strategies, right? Like we don't want to just let everyone know like, yeah, we're just screwed up, but what can we actually do about that?
Yeah.
To change that narrative.
Definitely. I mean, I think one thing is an important phrase is I'm sorry, I'll do better next time.
I'm sorry.
You're all good.
Where are the cookies?
How do you cut this up?
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. Okay.
That is like, there's so many moments where we're like drinking coffee and talking to one another. And
that's all good.
It's all good.
That's what's up. Cool. I do actually will say, we'll get to that later.
Sure.
In terms of things to cut or moments that.
But we were essentially talking about like what
things to do. An important phrase that I think men can learn is I'm sorry, I'll do better next time. And who cares about apologies?
Yes.
It's all about your actions. So do better next time.
Right.
And forgive yourself. I think a lot of us have done so much harm that at some point it's easier to like stay in the abyss and continue doing harm than admit that we've done wrong.
Yeah.
Because healing is not easy.
Right.
The only side through the thickness is through the thickness.
Right.
You can't just hop over.
Yeah.
You have to go through it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of feeling that's going to be happening for our healing as men. So like I said, sometimes it's easier. So we have to forgive ourselves.
Right.
Forgive ourselves and do better.
Right. So I've been in a process of healing for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I'm trying. But the thing about that for me is that somehow I still end up being and staying in the abyss by doing the same error. And then I say, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. And then somehow, some way, I figure it out to do it again, but in a different way.
Right. I mean, trial and error at some point, it's not an overnight. It's not an overnight. Our healing is not overnight. You might do it next time. And then you have to deal with the consequences maturely. Someone might leave you. People don't want to be in your space anymore, right? So do you.
That's real.
And then know that there's consequences, right? You might make the mistake 3 times in a row, and you might not make it the 4th. But the 3 times might have been too much for the person you made a mistake for. And they might leave.
That's real.
And then you just got to deal with that.
Yeah. And those are I always say the toughest lessons are the hardest.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But they also teach you the best.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the thickness. Like, it's what I'm saying. That's the hard part isn't being like, oh, I made that mistake again.
Yeah.
The hard part is being like, someone left me because I kept on making that mistake.
Right. Yeah. And like you said, there's a consequence to every action.
Yeah.
I want to live a life where all my consequences are good. Obviously, that's a life that's not possible, right? Because I'm a human being. And the thing about myself is that I always say, I'm such a paradoxical person. I don't know why. Maybe I was born this way, or maybe I'm still unlearning who I've been for the past 25 years of my life.
Right.
But there's something about myself that I am both extremely good, but sometimes extremely sinister. Dr. Cornel West says, ooh, we all act in devilish ways. And I'm like, yeah.
I feel that same way. Like, I definitely, and I think that there are so here's another like very like grounded tool for us. as men and as people in general that are going through healing and just going through life, there should be very specific exercises that we do. Like that sinisterness, I get that out through my rap. I drop like a swaggy freestyle that just like, you know, like, and then I get it out, right? Like I go for a run, like I go box, like, you know, like I engage in activities that allow me to feel my full range of humanness, and it's not necessarily like, because like you're saying, like I still have like these sinister, this devilish ways. It's like, all right, fuck it, let me get into a character and let me write a rap about it and drop it as a freestyle. And so like, and that's healthy, right? And like, it's, you know, it kind of like, it's
because
not
hurting anyone.
Exactly, I'm not hurting anyone. And so we need those things. We need journaling. We need freestyling. You know, I was just Strange is Beautiful is an Instagram page that deals with mental health, which they call mind obstacles, and they had me speaking on their show. They can do a little video series last week, and they're talking about what, you know, I was talking about how I deal with anxiety, which is a mind obstacle that I deal with constantly, and a lot of it's freestyling, right? Is I just like freestyle off the top, and it allows me to be like the most present. I just address exactly how I'm feeling and have kind of self-empathize, and it allows me to like feel it, go hard, come back to myself, and then move on. And like, so we need that. Like, we need to be writing. We need to engage in exercise. We need to, just like go out in nature and fucking scream. We need to like, just be aggressive. You know, like I don't know. Like you said, join boxing or like go wrestle with a homie. I don't know. Like whatever you need to do. Like we need to let ourselves out. And like if we don't, that's just more repression, right? And like also we need to cry. Like literally, tears have like they measure like the pH levels of tears, and they're like you're literally they're like toxic. Like you're literally they're like super high pH, and like you're literally like it's not
acid,
just water.
right?
Exactly, it's like acid. You're like
shit.
you're actually releasing something that's like not
poisonous to your being.
So that's why we cry. Like there's a reason why humans cry. Like it's so crazy that like we have repressed ourselves. It's like it literally is like a human function, like sweating, that we need to let ourselves do to like be healthy physically. You know, people are like, oh, crying, it's like you don't need to cry. It's like, what? Like it's like you don't need to sweat.
That's crazy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like it's
an outlandish style.
Yeah, think about exactly. So that's something too. Like and that's something hard, especially if you're someone, you know, like it was really hard for me to start crying. Like, you know, like I was like 22 and 23, got back from college, and just like really put the healing into second gear, and realized that like that's something that like I would held back. Like there was just something else. Like I would start to cry, and there was just like the deepest fucking spirit that would like rip my tears and hold them back. And like I just had to slowly like address it. And even now, like it's hard for me to cry in public. I still feel that, you know, that thing. But like
in public, I always feel that.
Yeah, in public,
I don't want to
back.
I
shame.
feel like it's not because it's shame. I feel because it's something intimate of me that not everyone deserves to.
That's true too. That's fine. And then also like, you know, I always strive towards being like I want to be on stage and be like the most free. Like I want to be on stage and like feel my own music and feel the moment so much that I do start crying. I want to be that like prolific. That like I can just do that. Like I can be that so intimate as a performer, right? That's different because like that's Figgy Baby as well.
Right.
But like I want to be like I just want to be so intimate and so present that I'm just like so in it and like without, you know, like bounds or shame in that moment. But I do feel that as well. Like, you know, sometimes it's like my crying for me, like I mostly only cry like by myself, and that's fine. That's a good start. Like I'm letting it out. Like and another thing too, like allow for us to actively have time by ourselves. And I don't mean binge watching Netflix for 3 hours.
You're not by yourself.
Yeah. Like no, I mean literally be by yourself. Like sit down in silence and just like let the thoughts flood. Like let the negativity come. Let the anxiety hit. Let the depression hit. Let the sadness overcome.
Scary.
Yeah, like don't just jump into it. You know, lean into it.
Yeah.
But like allow yourself to feel the full range of emotions. And it's scary, right? But if we do that little by little, like do it for like just 10 minutes every day. Just like sit. Literally put a timer and just like sit and do nothing. And just let your mind run. Be like, oh, I hate this. Oh, this is boring. Oh, this is terrible. I don't really like this. Let even all those tiny moments be.
Yeah.
Right? And that's, you know, the beautiful thing about addressing the fear is, and you know, and when I freestyle is like, it's just like saying exactly like every little thing, every moment of the process you say. And the process is the feeling, right? You're like, oh, I'm not feeling anything yet. Okay? Then say that. You're not feeling anything yet. Say that you think this is stupid. Say that like, oh, God, it's gonna take so long. 10 minutes. Just let it all come. Address every moment that comes.
Yeah.
Like honor every moment, everything. Like little things are gonna come from the back of your head, but like when it's silent, it's gonna come a lot more front.
Right.
So like those things are important. Like just to like be with yourself, actively be with yourself. You know what I mean? Like
that's how I got to college, bro. So my school was on a hill.
Yeah.
And every day was tough because I was 2,000 miles away from home, and I was working really hard because I was playing football at the university. And after practice, every day I would, before entering my dormitory, there was like a big stone where I would just sit and I would look at the entire city and I would cry. I would cry because there was nothing else I could do but cry. Right. And then when I would leave, I feel so much better. Yeah. But also when I saw people coming my way, I was like, not crying anymore. Not crying anymore. But now that's a problem too.
Yeah, right. It's unfortunate. It's sad that we're now acting on other people's thoughts of us and not our own.
Exactly.
Right, because that's what's happening in that moment. Because you care about what they're gonna. You had this freeing moment by yourself. You're letting you feel good, right? You actually know you feel good, but then someone else's thoughts are gonna come and allow you to like not let yourself feel good.
Right.
Like, it's crazy. Yeah.
It's so crazy that we allow our own selves to be changed by the opinions of others.
Yeah. Like we know better. Like I feel
we
that.
think we know better, right?
Yeah,
I can say that's my biggest issue. I always think.
Yeah,
right? I always think I know, and I'm like, oh, I know. But then, what are you actually doing with your life?
Yeah.
You know.
That's what it reminds me of. Well, yeah, this is like a little weird to bring up, but like just the idea that we allow what we think other people are gonna think about us to actually like not allow us to pursue what we know is gonna bring us happiness. So a homegirl's homegirl is like, yo, Fig is super fun. Like, yo, Fig is fun. I was asking, are they single? Fig is super fun. Like, I really like their work. They're very charming. I like their style. And I've met them a few times just at like social interactions. And they're like, yeah, like he's very kind, sweet, whatever. It's like, I just don't think I could date a man that wears nail polish though. And I'm like, what? And like I ain't really, like I'm only tripping because then it made me start thinking of like maybe insecure about it, like other people who like I'm like, oh, do other people get turned off by this? Like, is that something? But that's so crazy because like she went off on naming all the things that were like that would make someone happy. Yeah, all these great qualities that would actually, is someone that would make her happy and being her life, whatever. And then something that I only imagine is because other people would, because like it's paint on my fucking nails. It's like what? This is literally nothing.
It's like wearing a glove.
It's literally nothing. Right. It's literally nothing.
Yeah.
And
there's no substance to that.
Yeah, there's no substance to it other than like a little bit of style. But like a little sweats. Right? But like there's no substance to it. And like so I know in that moment it's only thinking about what are other people gonna think if I started kicking it with a dude who wore nail polish, right? And that's that moment that's like you're literally gonna let your own happiness down because of what other people are going to think about something that literally is substanceless.
Yeah.
And it just reminded me of that.
Yeah.
Just in general.
And it reminds me of like how sometimes we try so hard to comfort the needs of others that we forget to comfort our very own selves.
Facts. That's all I gotta say.
Right.
That's it. That's facts.
Facts, moving on.
That's it, yeah.
I want to talk about the play that you wrote when you were a younger
person. The play.
Yes, and I know we kind of talked about it a little bit.
Right.
But I want to talk about like more in depth of the play. I know that you said it was about the Mexican American experience.
Yeah.
But more about the play.
Yeah.
What else was going on in that play?
Right. So I grew up in a middle class household with a white English mother and a Mexican father.
Yeah.
And I think the idea of a mixed experience for me had less to do with having parents of different races and more to do just with culture that they were bringing, right? Both my parents spoke Spanish fluently. Both my parents danced cumbia. My mom, put up all the altars for Dia de los Muertos.
So your mom was a very cultured white
Yeah. And she lived in Mexico for 15 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So she was definitely like pushing a lot of like Mexican traditions in the household. At the end of the day, she's still a white lady. Like there's certain things. And she was not raised by she was raised by white parents and all that too. But it really was interested in the idea of the mixed experience. Just me and my father. I think being raised by immigrants is a mixed experience. Being the first person to go to college is a mixed experience. Be a first generation is a mixed experience. Coming from a mixed class household, right? I think we talk about race a lot, and we're not adding the
class component.
Class component. That like even if I was like like full Mexican or full black or full Chinese, and I was like from upper middle class, that's gonna be a way different experience than like from the middle class or from like a working class. And like even my parents came from different class backgrounds, and so like, and that influences how I'm being raised in the household. It's like you can have parents from the same race that they're from different class back. You know, it's just like, it's like, and then you're even a different class background than your parents because now they combined and like it's a different thing too. Yes. And so like just like mixed experience, you know. In general, and all those experiences of like being a brown person in like a white area when I went to college, and like that experience too is really present in the play. You know, my relationship with language, my relationship with police in my neighborhood I grew up in. I was getting pulled over all the time. My mom was on the phone with the cops weekly, being like, "Why the hell are you fucking pulling my son over all the time?" And both of my brothers. Yeah, like I'll be walking around and I just get, like I have a song on the album called Shortcut, which is about literally like walking behind my mother's own church. Like I was going home to check in my mom at like 7 at night. Like it was night, but like it was early, like it wasn't even late, and I did a little shortcut behind my mom's church, and then they pulled me over and being like, is there guns or graffiti or, what's going on back there, and like had me, patted me down. It was like, just like, yeah, fucking with me, right? And that happened a lot, and so like, and that has, like, and mixed or not, in that moment, I'm like this brown boy that's being harassed by these cops walking around this neighborhood. And so like, and the mixed experience is vast, and I wanted to explore all that through my own personal narrative, like I try not to speak on anybody else because I don't know nobody else. Like I know me. I really can't. Like I know me, and there are certain things I dramatize or I expand on, because I know my community and I know my homies as well. So I call most of my work autobiographical fiction. Meaning that it's based on me, but then I allow it to be informed by the larger community as well, and dramatized, right? As theater is,
it makes it more creative.
Yeah, as music
it makes it more
right?
appealing to the audience.
Yeah, right. And so so the play dealt with a lot of things. It dealt with going back to Mexico and being my family there, and a disconnect of just being like the American cousin, which I know a lot of my Mexican counterparts and Latino counterparts feel when they go back to their like parents' homeland that they're not from. Like any, my homies from El Salvador, Nicaragua that are born and raised here. Like, we get the chance to go back and visit, our cousins, primos, whoever for the holidays or for a week or whatever back in, our mom's old town and wherever. It's like there's a disconnect. Definitely. We sound pocho, right. Or like we just have a different vibe or different style. Like It's like that's a mixed experience, know. And Gloria Anduzua has a book called Borderlands. Yeah. That's about wherever there's, and Borderland is wherever there is like this coming together of cultures, this clash. And that's the same thing I think about. That's like mixed experience, She was in my annotated bibliography for that play. Right. So was Kendrick's Good Kid, Mad City. Oh shit. Yeah. So was Mark Muthi Joseph's Letters to My Unborn Son.
Merging who you are.
So I'm saying like it's everything.
Combination of all
experiences and cultures. And identifying lineage, and then like saying yes and. Really about progression and evolution is saying yes and. I think of like I believe in a non-binary future. Like I think you see those shirts that say future is female or future is whatever. Like I think future is non-binary, and non-binary is just saying yes and to everything, right? That like if you want to identify, if you're born a man and you identify, biologically a man and you identify as a man, yes, go for it. If you were born, man and you identify as a woman, like go for it. If you were born a woman and want to identify with no gender, go for it. If you want to identify as Z, go for it. It just says yes and to every aspect, and that was just gender, but just culturally, right? Like non-binary also includes the equality of all races too. Just like is no binary of black and white or like or like other and us and them. It just like in all aspects of this or that, it just says yes and allows everyone to have an option and everyone to be included in the narrative and everyone to create their own story in the mainstream and just the non-binary future and that's what the music is, right? That's where it starts for me. That's where my work is in terms of working towards that future is the music, because that's also what makes me happy. In terms of being like people who engage in activism and want to engage in change, it's like they're gonna blow out. I mean, what's it called, like burn out if they continue engaging in a form of change that doesn't bring happiness to themselves as well. It's like I chose music and I chose like I do a lot of youth education as well because I get stuff out of that. Like I love it.
You feel your
makes
cup.
Me feel good. I fill my cup and then I fill other people's cups, right?
Yes.
And And yeah, so I gotta take care of me first, and so I can actually like make the change I see in the world. Ariana Bosco has this amazing quote called in a poem that she does. It's you got to put your own oxygen mask on first, and if not, how then can you insist others in putting theirs on, and so they can breathe as freely as you breathe? You know. So we gotta take care of us first and make sure that we're happy and fulfilled. And like you said, I love that phrasing. And so it's the fill your cup, so you can fill other people's cups. And I found a career in work where I can do both simultaneously.
That's so beautiful, man.
Simultaneously,
so beautiful.
and then while pushing the culture, you know, we're evolving. You know, that's what I'm committed to.
Right. That's one of my biggest goals with my channel is for when people watch this, they realize that they don't have to confine themselves to a certain lifestyle that doesn't make them happy.
Right.
But not only that, but there's a lot of people out there that want to be helpful. Right? And it goes back to a lot of people that are like nonprofits, or a lot of the more like radical people that are just kind of doing like whatever activism they think is going to bring forth, you know, a more egalitarian society, which I really respect but not always agree with. But what happens is that, I'll talk about myself, right?
Yeah.
At a certain point, I was going super hard, right? And I thought I was super fucking radical in every way possible. But then I realized that the spaces that I was engaging with were making me more angry, and I was just agitated all the time.
Right.
There was no sort of happiness. There was no sort of support. There was no there was no place for me to expand myself. I was expanding my mind.
Right.
I was getting more conscious.
Yeah.
But where was my soul?
Yeah.
You know
where was your human at?
Yes.
Right.
It was just getting cut, torn to pieces, and
boy.
nothing was there.
Yeah.
Right. And then I started hanging out with people who were not as conscious.
Yeah.
Right. But we're more about giving me, right?
Yeah.
And then I started realizing, and I was like, it's not about being woke per se.
Fuck all that nonsense.
You know what I'm saying? It's more about following your heart and being happy. And then I started realizing that even with like certain Republicans or certain right-wing people, that I was realizing their own humanity. And it took me a really long time to realize that I could even feel them.
Yeah,
because
empathy for them.
Exactly. Because I realized at a point that it was everyone, I was just cutting them off, and I wasn't giving them the opportunity to sit down just like you and I, and understand that we do have a common thread. We do have a common thread, and that common thread is we both are in pursuit of some type of passion, happiness, love.
It's like thriving.
It's the human experience.
Right. No,
where we all connect.
Yeah. It's funny. I have a song that's coming out early next year. It's gonna be on the album. It's called Self-Worth. And there's a line that I have that reminds me that I really came to that conclusion. That line, I gotta remember I want to do the whole little verse. Is that cool? Yeah. It's the second verse of it, but I just think of this last thing. I'm like, I rely on my hands to provide what I have, but I drop most of my goals just to pull you from the stands, let you shine. It's all a lie. When they say there's not enough to go around for yours and mine, they set a rules, a dirty trap. Infuses self-hatred, insecurities intact. I'm done simplifying myself, defying my health, prioritizing my wealth over my well-being. And when I talk about me, always keep in mind you, cause we got the same needs, we just got different views. We all wanna be free, just trying to be free. We just say it with me. This will not be how I go out. Watch me rise up, reach for your palms, pull you until you fucking with yourself like me.
Beautiful, man.
With that last part, right? Like when I talk about me, always keep in mind you, because we got the same needs, we just got different views. Yes. I really, I have been thinking about that too, that at the core of it, that like we do want to be free, and we do want to thrive, and we've been brainwashed, we've been hate washed, and we think that there has to, and that whole verse really sums up to that moment at the end. It's like, that there's enough to go around. They made it seem like we have to compete,
Right.
That's why, I like the idea of competition in hip hop just for the sake of like friendly competition to like up the craft.
Yes.
But but below that, and really what really matters is I believe between me and that person having that friendly competition that we can both get ours. Mm-hmm. We can both shine. We can both succeed in this. We can both have world tours. We can both have sell out venues and make money. And like there's enough to go around.
Yeah.
And
I truly believe that.
Yeah. And that's what it is that this culture unfortunately makes it seem that there's not. And so we have to compete. So if you have it, that means it's something that I don't have.
Right.
But that's not what it is.
Right.
Like
In the past couple of decades, our country has become more polarized.
Super.
You're going that way, and I there's no way I can meet you anymore because I gotta go that way.
I go that way,
and it just creates a more
right. And that's the binary too that I was talking about. Like it's the binary. Like I don't.
Why do we have to choose?
That's a mess. When we raised that way, right? It's the I mean, if we be real, like capitalism taught us that. And and I really believe in community work being the best means to combat those unfortunate results of capitalism. You know. And also just to like get yourself and believe in yourself and see your own self-worth and then start seeing the self-worth of others, because then you're like, oh nah, like I truly want all my motherfucking people to succeed.
Right.
Like I really do. Like I just see everyone, I'm like, yo, it's not. And I still have moments of like, oh, they're getting their shine. I'm like, nah.
Yeah, but that's our ego.
There's so many people out there.
You know what?
It's our ego, exactly, and that's a mess. But we work.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I feel a certain way sometimes as well, but then I tell myself like, bro, if you're really about your own shit and you're working hard, you see that hustle in people. You feel me? Like exactly. Yeah. It's like imagine me walking down the street and then I see somebody in 100 degrees selling fruit. It's a hustle.
Yeah.
How can I hate that hustle?
Yeah, right.
You get me? In the same way, maybe you're selling venues and I'm not fucking selling the goddamn shirt. Yeah. I'm gonna be happy for you.
Right.
Because somehow I believe strongly that if I feel happy for you, maybe somewhere along the line you might feel happy for me.
Right.
You know?
And then, and even beyond that, it's like, yo, you feeling happy for others is gonna make you feel happy for you, because you're not spreading any negativity. You're not manifesting that. All you're doing is manifesting happiness.
Right.
You're like, you know what, I'm happy for you. I want you to succeed, my king. And like even if I never see you again and you say the same thing back to me, literally just spreading love and spreading happiness makes me feel better. I'm like, dang, I felt good making that person feel good, or just like showing love, dapping someone up, be like, I appreciate you.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I did appreciate them. You know what? They deserve to be appreciated. And that just makes me feel better because I was nice to someone and they deserved it. And just like it.
Yeah. And it's infectious.
Yeah, it's infectious.
Right? Like that
exactly.
positivity.
It's just like,
And trust me, I get it. Sometimes we're not in the best of moods, right?
Right.
And then you get this person that's all fucking happy. Like in the morning, for example, let's say it's 6 in the morning, you're walking down the street and someone's like, oh, hi.
Yeah, like, what's up? You're like, what?
Maybe wait a couple hours.
Hope you have a beautiful day. And you're like, okay. But later you're like, oh, that's actually kind of nice. Like,
right. I would like to ask you, though, about capitalism. It's obviously, it's one of those concepts that I don't truly believe that anyone has a concrete alternative, right?
Yeah.
I mean, of course, there's the Karl Marxes of the world, and then there's all the people who have borrowed from Karl Marx and have tried to implement a lot of different systems, a lot of different governments to kind of change that, right? And it has yet to change.
Right.
Do you think that there is a possibility that capitalism will either eventually be abolished and a new system will come to play that will be better? Yeah. Or do you think that capitalism is kind of the king for now and we kind of got to figure it out, work through it, maybe possibly make some money out of that system and then use that power and resource to alleviate the ills of those who are marginalized?
That's a good question. Definitely the first one. I don't think anything is the end all be all. Nothing is king. Nothing is forever. Everything evolves. Everything adapts.
Yeah.
I'm a fluid ass fool. Like evolution is fluid. Capitalism is just another step. And even capitalism now is not what capitalism looked like 50 years ago. Right? It for worse and for better.
Yeah.
And even communism in different countries aren't exactly what Karl Marx thought. So like even now it's already evolving. I think it's our biggest issue as a nation and as humans is we're such a young species and are barely adolescent and are coming to a really stubborn age in ourselves that we don't believe in experimentation anymore. Because we're like, now we have this like stupid overthought and we're just like, oh no, like this is what it is. Like this is, I'm like, nah, like we got to this point. We like almost became smart enough to not think that there is evolution anymore. And then we're like stupid to actually, we're not smart enough. I'm trying to say is we like hit this level of intelligence that like is like, oh, like this is just what life is in reality. Peak. Yeah, like we think we peak, but then hopefully we're gonna. I exist, so I believe potential for other people to like continue growing and like know that there's just evolution. Like it's just evolution. Like humanity and Earth, like the only constant is change. God is change. And so with capitalism, it's like nothing is king forever. Like, I don't know if communism is going to work. I don't know if that version of communism is going to work. I don't know if that version of capitalism is going to work. I believe that there is just like experimentation. And we're not doing enough. We're not taking enough risks as a human species and you know, in the States to just experiment and try other systems out. And like to go back and be like, actually, you know what? That idea of communism or that idea of barter, you know, was actually like, it works really well. It's like, let's incorporate that while still maintaining this of capitalism. You know, like it's not about this or that. Like that's the same thing. Like, going back to it, it's not either or, you know, either or. It's about yes and.
Right.
So.
And then kind of like recreating new ones. And then, oh, it didn't work? Okay, cool.
Cool. Yeah, right. And that's the thing with we were talking about earlier about the education system. It's like we haven't changed. Like we, you know, like, okay, we thought the Industrial Revolution was going to last longer because we didn't know because it was such a boom. It was happening. It's over. But now we haven't adjusted to that change.
Right.
And we're lazy. And you know it's hard because it's such a huge system into, you know, we change slowly.
Yeah.
Which is really what it is, right? We change slowly.
Yeah.
But I think that we could change faster.
Okay, so what if someone came around and said, I have this idea that can change the way that human beings function faster? Because progress is slow and it's caused through struggle. But what if this guy said, it's a crazy idea. If we install this sort of microchip, or not necessarily an invasive procedure, but there's some sort of thing that can alter everyone's consciousness so that you are a little less biased.
You're watching too much Black Mirror.
It's in the same realm.
I love that show.
But you know, it's totally a possibility. It's not too far away, right? Because there's a lot of people that are putting millions and millions and millions of dollars into this sort of research.
Yeah.
What do you think about that idea of having some sort of assistive technology to help every human being rise their level of thinking to the point where...
Hey, you know what? That's experimentation. I mean, cool.
Yeah.
Right? Like, someone's going to be down to try it. Yeah. And then we're going to see what happens. If they turn into, like, an emotionless cyborg, or if they, like, turn into, like, a dope queer person. Which is really what that, I truly believe that queerness... And, like, I use queerness and identify as queer, and people will be like, oh, so, like that just pertains to your sex. And people will immediately be like, oh, so you're gay? And I'm like, nah, like that doesn't pertain solely to like sexuality. Like queerness for me more pertains to my cultural shift and commitment to a cultural shift and evolution of humanity. And like my ability to be, to adapt and to be fluid and to know how to change and to believe in change and to experiment and say yes and to things. That's what queerness is.
Yeah.
For me. And so I really think that queerness is a shift that we should consciously make. I don't give a fuck about the title. I just use that because that belongs to a community. Like I use hip hop, even though that's not what my music is necessarily belongs to.
It's like being a genreless queer individual.
That's what I'm saying. That's what queerness is. It is this genreless fluid, you know, like continue. It's just like for me, queerness means that I'm committed to change and evolving. That's at the bottom line of it. That's what queerness means. Yeah. Me. And that like I just say yes and to things, and you know, and also know when to say no. That doesn't work for me.
I would like to ask you, how well is that definition of queerness accepted amongst other folks in the queer community, as far as you have been able to reach out to? Because obviously the queer community is worldwide.
It is. It's huge. And some people will be like, oh, I identify as queer just because I'm a man and I sleep with men, or like I'm a woman and sleeps with women, or like I identify as queer just because I'm trans, or because I, you know, don't identify with any, you know, I'm, you know, gender pronoun. And for me, those things are important.
Yes.
And a lot of that does also, like, I, you know, belong to some of those aspects of the identity as well. And I think that those are non-normative forms that are, like, evolving to, like, their specific needs and wants, right? Which is what it's all about. Right. That allows them to be at their happiness and most fulfilled, which is the bottom line of why we change. Right. Is so that we can be happy and fulfilled and thrive, not just survive. So I think if I explain that, like the way that I am to you in terms of it being changed and adapting, I think most people would be like, oh yeah, I guess that's kind of like what I do.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, like that makes,
I adapt myself as well.
Yeah. Though they're thinking of more literal examples that identify with their queerness, right? Yeah. That like, you know, I decided to be like, cool, my family won't accept me. I'm gonna like take a risk and like go and be happy, even though every day I have to live in fear for my life being like a trans black woman.
Yes.
But like I'm happy and I'm gonna die being who I am. And so like that for me is like that's major adapting and major evolution for the sake of happiness and change. So that's just the action. You know, there's the philosophy, which is what I said, and then there's the actions of that, right? And really the actions is what matters.
Right. Yes.
So I think that I think that a lot of people would agree with that aspect to it. But it's a cultural shift, you know, because like, I mean, and there's some people that be like I would say that, they'd be like, oh, so you're gay. And I'd be like, no, I'm not.
Yeah, I never said that.
Yeah, I never said that, right? I said I'm queer. And also some people who like older queers or, you know, like LGBT folk, who would be like, oh, well, I grew up with that being like a derogative term, right, as well, like being smeared to queer.
Yes,
and so like now it's like a reappropriation of that as well as you know, members of those communities to be like, I'm gonna take this word and like now make a really positive kind of, you know, definition of it and move forward with it with pride and celebration.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people would agree with that term. Some of them might just not be familiar. We might have to have a conversation right off the bat. And it's more like that. And that's why also like, you know, you won't find, you know, like there's certain moments that I talk about queerness on my IG page or my social media. But it's not like, you know, you go to the bio and it says like queer this or queer that, you know, it says experience provider. Because even queerness for me is another title, and you know, like
it puts you in a box.
Yeah, like you don't need to, and that's what I'm saying. Actions are what matters. You don't need to know what the titles I use. You just need to know how I act. Even like my Latinidad, I'm not saying Mexican rapper there.
Right.
I'm not confined to that.
Yeah.
He's like, even though I have a lot of pride in my Latinidad and my Mexicanness and like that community, but like you're just gonna see it.
But I want you
Most
to
of my
more.
followers are Latinos and queer folk. Even without me saying anything, because they see it, right? Because it's in my actions, it's in my style, it's in my music, it's in how I treat the people around me, it's how I treat my fans. And that's what I'm saying, that like all these titles, I don't give a shit. Like I use them because like it's important to find community, you know, like I use hashtags like hip hop and queer so those people can find me because I know I have value for them.
Right.
But in terms of that being like my overall defining quality, it's like my actions are my defining quality.
Right.
Like, it's like, I know a lot of toxic ass queer people. I know a lot of toxic ass Mexicans and men. And you know what? I mean, it's like all that is like, just because you're queer doesn't mean you're all of a sudden like a great person. It's like, no, fuck all these titles. It's about your actions. And like you said too, your intellect, your wokeness. You know, I spend a lot of time with those people as well, and they suck. They're selfish. They can talk a big game. And I go back to the homies. It's like, they're real people.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they might not be woke and they saying some fucked up shit. It's like, but we gonna work on that. But they care about me. They got my back. Like,
right.
they shameless. They unapologetic. Right. And yeah, some of the things they shameless about, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna bring to attention with love and patience. But I'd rather have a real motherfucker around me than some like woke ass fake.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so like I surround myself with raw ass people.
Right.
You know? And the idea is to have people who are both, you know, who are raw and real, and who are also committed to healing in their own personal growth.
That's ideal.
Yeah,
ideal.
Yeah,
or to be at least surrounded by people like that as much as you can, right? Because oftentimes those are the experiences that allow you to become a more evolved person. The way that you define queerness, to me, is a very evolved way of defining that.
Yeah.
Such as the people. Do you know who George Carlin is?
The comedian.
Genius comedian. He's dead now. But anyways, he's having an interview with a bunch of other like really important intellectuals, right?
Yeah,
and he's asking them like, "Well, do you believe in God? Do you believe in God?" And some people are like very literal about God, like a man up in the sky, whatever. And then one of the women, she's like, "Well, you know, I kind of believe that God is kind of like this energy floating somewhere around the universe or whatever." And then he's like, "Well, you know what? I think that's a far more evolved way of thinking about God. I still don't believe in God, but congratulations."
Right.
And so it's really important that we try our best, right? There's a lot of these ideas that make certain people happy, whether it be religion, God, activism, music, whatever it is. But to push it, right? To expand it, to say like, we can do more with this. We can do more with our human experience. We can do more as teachers. We can do more as mentors. We can do more as musicians. Yeah. But we can't allow ourselves to just be repetitive and follow the same instructions that were given to us by our teachers.
We gotta take risks. We gotta be the ones. I have, a couple lines that I think about that I've been writing recently that I'm really happy because I feel like my writing these days is really me allowed to express these viewpoints and these like moments thoroughly, and just like this song I just dropped recently, Watermelon Earrings, is just like idea of risk, right? And to be risk takers in terms of experimenting and like really being committed to change and actions even through the risk, you know, because it's scary, right? Like some of us just are not going to be able to do it, and it's sad. And I can't make anybody do it, especially, communities that are really at harm's way. I can't expect every undocumented person to be out there protesting on the front line. It's like, what the hell? Like, they need to take care of them. They need to stay on the low, yep. And they need to get their money for their family, and they need to do what they need to do, right? And then there's other ones that are like taking huge risks, like undocumented youth who are like on the front lines of activism to fight for their own rights, and they're putting themselves at risk for all these other people, right? And so, so one thing is just that, in trying to like this idea of I want to like continually push the bounds, and I want to surpass my idols, but they killed all my idols. And changing the world around me is a risk, but it's vital. The queer don't go viral. The chances ain't the same. We worry about survival. But we gotta take those risks anyways, right? We gotta be brave anyways. For some of us, right?
They killed my idols.
They killed all my idols. I'm trying to surpass my idols, but they killed all my idols. So changing the world around me is a risk, but it's vital. And my idols are only my idols because they took those risks.
Right.
Right. We think about Jesus too. I'm not a religious person, and I didn't grow up in a very religious household.
Jesus,
but like we think about Jesus, right? Like we think about Jesus, like Jesus, like you think about like the idea of died for our sins, died like Jesus was a freaking brown ass activist who kept all the weird kids around, all the queer kids around, and he's like, and then like died being an activist to like put on for all the weird kids, right?
The outcasts.
Yeah, the outcasts, and for all like and the same thing is like like in those qualities. But I think Martin Luther King died,
right?
Like all these MLK died,
right?
Like people being hunted down.
Yes.
These like transgender icons died.
Yeah.
And, like.
Because they're at the forefront.
They're at the forefront. They took the risk. They're Jesus.
Of pushing the human consciousness.
Yeah, right.
And I can talk about all those people. I don't have to, but like Jesus in particular, he's a very special character in history.
Right.
Whether he was a physical person or not, or whether someone just wrote about him because they were a genius and they found out a way to say, I gotta trick humanity to make them change.
Yeah. Well, that was like and then. Wow, so many years later they took the word and just fucked it up too.
But that's a mess.
That's
us as human beings.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what we do with
we're adolescents.
things.
We're young.
We're
young. And I really say we as in the whole humanity. I think we don't realize that too because there is this sphere of understanding age. So like me and you, we think we're actually young because like there's 80-year-old people. But like humans are young. Like the difference between 80-year-olds and 20-year-olds is 60 years. 60 years is nothing. To the point of like we've been evolving for. So like really the difference is not that much. And then like there's all this ego and I know so much more than these young people. They don't really know about life. It's like none of us really know about life. So let's keep that. And that's what I was talking about at the very beginning. It's like that's why I'm always gonna be excited. That's always gonna be curious. That's always like I will always be fine being a little homie because like I always want to learn and I always know that someone else knows more about something than something has.
So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, this was the brilliant, the gifted, the amazing Figgy Baby. I know for a fact you're gonna love this episode. I want to ask him one last question, and this question is: if there's one tool, one tangible thing that our audience can leave with today, what is that one thing that they can leave and become better if they're able to practice it?
Sorry, my phone went off. My bad. Wait, you should ask again. Wait, hello?
It's all good, Chief. It's all good, Chief.
Fuck y'all. They be doing that. I'll be at Union Station around 2. Oh, okay.
It's all good.
It's my partner.
Figgy Baby. If there's one thing that our audience can leave with today, and they can feel so much more richer if they're able to practice it in their life, what is that one thing that you would love to leave them with?
Yo, self-love. Affirmations. Make sure that you're giving time for yourself, you have patience for yourself, that you're forgiving yourself, celebrating yourself. Every day when you wake up, write 10 things that you're proud of yourself about. Self-empathize. Know that you're worthy, that you're loved, that you're of value, that you deserve all the great things in your life, you deserve all the great people in your life. Surround yourself with people that make you feel good. Yeah, just celebrate yourself. You know, say things out loud. I think people make it seem like, oh, it's ego if you say that you're good looking or that you feel good. It's like, nah, screw all that. Like, tell yourself you look good. Tell yourself you feel good. Tell yourself you kicked ass in that interview. You know, just remind yourself of how awesome you are. And those things go a long way.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You've done a tremendous effort to be here today, all the way from the OC. I admire you, brother. I'm definitely a fan of who you are and what you're gonna bring to the universe. And I can't wait to see what else comes, man.
I appreciate you.
I love you guys, and as always, share this, comment, subscribe. Y'all already know the details. See you later.